Hello and welcome to the official RussMiller.com podcast. My name is Ashley Beard, and today we are actually over at Third Encore, and we were shooting a Gen 16 video promo. But today we are interviewing Justin Schiada, who is Russ's drum tech. Hi, Justin.
Hello, Ashley.
How are you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Awesome. Now, tell us, how did you get into the business of drum tech or stage backline tech? How did you get into that?
Well, I studied music for a while at LA Music Academy, and when I was through with that, I didn't really know which direction I should go musician-wise. You know, I was very new to the business when I started. So I asked my teachers, if they would help me out and, kind of give me a gig. And my teacher, Mike Shapiro, offered me a job with Sergio Mendes. And he kind of took me under his wing and showed me a lot of things about how the business works.
Cool. Now, what does your job entail as a drum tech?
My job entails, setting up all the right heights and angles of cymbals and drums so that whoever I'm setting up for, when they sit down behind it, it should be like they set it up themselves, and they shouldn't have to move anything. Although everyone does, it's never completely perfect. But
there's hope.
Yeah. Cool. Every once in a while, I'll get it right. But
okay, now you are a drummer, and how has being a drum tech affected your playing?
Being a drum tech for some incredible drummers, and seeing what goes on behind the scenes, seeing the rehearsals, seeing the sound checks, and listening to how they approach the songs and musically, it really has given me a different perspective on how to approach my instrument too. And I've learned a lot from these guys that I work for. So
now you work with Russ a lot. Who are some of the other drummers you've worked for or with that you've really sort of been influenced positively by?
Primarily Russ, Mike Shapiro, Jamie Tate, Ian O'Neill, Dave Gentry, Jonathan Dressel, and a lot of one-offs where someone just needs a guy to come in for one day and set up some drums, and and I've gotten to work with a lot of big names on those events, which has been really fun to meet them and interact with them for a quick moment.
I bet. Now, working with all these different people, I'm sure you get sort of a big mix of different types of drums that you get to work with. From that standpoint, has there been, a type of drum that stands out as particularly being able to stand the test of time or being a really superior kind of drum kit?
Gotta say, I really love the Yamaha Phoenix kit. I mean, you can't do wrong with it. It's impossible. You don't even have to tune the drum heads. You just throw it on there. So it's and they sound amazing.
Yeah, sure.
So those are the ones that really stand out to me.
Okay, and what about you? What drums do you use, or what are your favorite to work with as a drummer?
I'm a little biased with Yamaha. I work for a lot of Yamaha artists. I personally have a Sonor Delight. I got lucky. I got like one of the first ones ever made, like a prototype. So it's a special drum set to me. So.
Awesome. Okay, so now spill. What is the worst part about being a drum tech?
Catering.
All right.
No. Especially on fly dates where there's rented gear, showing up and you go over with the local backline technician what all needs to be there, and you get a confirmation, and everything's great, and then you show up, and it's a complete disaster, and you don't have, your heads are dented, sounds horrible. That's a nightmare. And then, you know, what do you have to go from there? You just burn the thing down, you know?
You can't do anything about it, sure.
The show must go on.
Yeah. Now, what about the best part? What do you love about your job?
Oftentimes, the greatest reward you will receive from working in music is the fact that you get to participate in music and listen to amazing artists. I get to see, you know, a lot of the behind the scenes of what happens when there isn't a bunch of lights on stage, and, you know, it's all a big show. I get to see the little jams, you know, that they do during sound check, and that's sometimes the most magical moment, because they're just really letting go and allowing themselves to play and speak their voice and their instrument.
Definitely.
I love it.
Cool. Now, you've gotten to work with and be around a ton of great musicians. Does anything stand out about these players? Is there some kind of common thread that you've noticed just being around all these cats?
One thing I love is watching someone who has spent, you know, longer than I've been alive every day, you know, really dedicating themselves to their instrument and their voice and their vocabulary. Hearing just thousands and thousands of hours of hard work translated into something very beautiful and something very simple sometimes. You know, it's like in some scenarios, the best players only have to play one note. And,
right.
and it has to be, you know, if it's the right note, then it's awesome, and that's all that matters. But you need all of those years and all those thousands of hours to be able to play that one note right. And that's what I love, is, you know, I hear the experience coming through.
Now, you also do some backline work. Do you prefer this or being a straight drum tech?
I prefer dealing with only drums, but, you know, I've been in some opportunities where I get to learn more about other equipment, and I enjoy learning about other instruments and how they work.
Okay, now what about road versus session work? Do you have a preference?
Preference? It's two completely different animals.
So cats or dogs?
Cats. I like session work because I get to be a little more involved with the creative aspect sometimes, and I know I can say, well, you know, depending on who I'm working with, they allow me to say, well, maybe we can, you know, what do you think about this idea? Maybe we can use this type of symbol, or how do you feel? You know, we can just make different suggestions, whereas a live show, I get to travel and eat great food all over the world. I can't complain about that.
You poor thing.
Yeah, it's rough.
Okay. So, yeah, how about some advice for folks who might just be starting to get into this industry? Someone who wants to be a drum tech or wants to be a backline tech. Any advice for the youngins out there?
Don't do it. Stay in college. Get an education. You know, have a good attitude. Be cool with everyone, you know. That's like the best advice, you know, is like, it doesn't have anything to do with playing or what your knowledge is sometimes. It's like you just get a gig because you're a nice guy. And not literally, but yeah, it's just good vibes, and stick with it. Persistence is the key. That's about it. About sums it up.
Awesome. You've worked for Russ for a while. What stands out about doing gigs with Russ?
I like doing gigs with Russ because there's not a lot of questioning that has to be made. You know, he knows exactly what he wants, and that makes my job really easy. You know, I don't have to think very much about, you know, does he need this? Does he need this? It's all mapped out, and he's very precise with everything.
Color-coded, labeled.
Yeah, you know,
with a chart and a diagram and instructions.
Everything, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, and watching him blow through these charts like nothing, like sight reading, insane stuff that I'm just like, what the hell is going on? You know, like, and then, you know, like we'll go in and do a session and he'll be out in 20 minutes. I'm like, I'm done. Like, really? You just did all the cues for that whole movie? First takes? I'm like, oh, okay.
Right.
So it's awesome to see a very high level of musicianship, and, you know, someone to look up to, and someone that I learned from, you know, someone that helps me be a better player. So it's incredible working with Russ and all these guys, you know, just all these different perspectives. It's great.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
See you next time.